5 things women should never do with a man. I am Bonang Matheba, and right now it's 3-something in the morning in my Johannesburg penthouse, the kind of quiet that only happens when the whole city finally goes to sleep. I'm sitting on the floor of my walk-in closet, back pressed against a rack of dresses I haven't worn in months, phone in one hand, wine glass empty in the other. My makeup is halfway down my cheeks, and for the first time in a long time, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just letting the tears fall. Because tonight they're not for him anymore. Tonight they're for me, for every version of me who sat in this exact spot over the years, thinking love was supposed to feel like punishment. I've been the girl who refreshed a man's WhatsApp at 2 a.m., hoping the last scene would change. I've been the girl who re-wore the same outfit 3 days in a row because I was scared to leave the house in case he called. I've been the girl who smiled in selfies while my soul was screaming. And if you're listening to this and any of that sounds familiar, baby, pull up a chair. This is for you. See, I used to think that if I loved hard enough, if I forgave fast enough, if I understood deep enough, I could fix whatever was broken in him. I thought my heart was some kind of magic wand that could turn inconsistency into commitment, silence into security, crumbs into a feast. I was wrong, dead wrong, and it cost me years. Years of my youth, years of my peace, years of believing I was almost enough. Tonight, something cracked wide open. I looked at that woman in the mirror, the one with the red eyes and the shaky hands, and I finally saw her. Not the queen bee they put on magazine covers. Not the brand, not the hustle, not the highlight reel. Just Bonang. Just a girl who deserved better than the story she kept writing with men who didn't know how to read her worth. That's when I made a promise, out loud, to the quiet room and to every single one of you who has ever felt like love was a war you had to win alone. I promised that I would never again let a man make me feel small. And from that promise came the 5 things I need you to burn into your spirit, the 5 things I wish someone had sat me down and said, listen, baby girl, write this down and never forget it. Because once you know these 5 truths, once you live them like scripture, no man will ever be able to shrink the woman you were born to be. We start with the hardest one, the one that will save you years of therapy and tears. The way a man treats you is never really about him. It's about what you decided was, okay, the very first time he showed you exactly who he was. That first lie you let slide. That first promise he broke. That first time he made you feel crazy for having feelings. And that moment you swallowed your voice, that was the moment you handed him the pen to write the rest of the story. And tonight I'm taking that pen back. For me, for you, for all of us. Because we deserve chapters that don't begin with apologies we never should have had to give. The first thing you must never, ever do is teach a man how to hurt you and still have access to you. I need you to hear me, like your life depends on it, because your heart does. It always starts small. He says he'll call after work and doesn't. You tell yourself he's just busy. He cancels date night because something came up and you rearrange your whole weekend with a smile because you don't want to seem difficult. He makes a joke at your expense in front of his boys and you laugh along because you're the cool girlfriend. Each time you let something slide, you are writing lesson 1 in the masterclass called How to Treat Her. By the time you're 6 months in, he doesn't even pretend to try anymore because you already taught him the rules. She will forgive this. She will understand this. She will stay no matter what. I did it for years. I became a PhD in making excuses. He's just stressed. His ex hurt him. He didn't mean it like that. I was so good at translating disrespect into love languages that I started believing my own lies. I thought being understanding made me special. It didn't. It made me available for nonsense. Here's the truth, men. Understand better than we do. They only respect what has boundaries. They only value what they have to work for. When you hand a man your heart with no terms and conditions, he has 0 reason to protect it. Why would he? You already showed him it's bulletproof because no matter how many times he shoots, you stay standing, bleeding, smiling, saying, it's okay. I remember the day I finally understood. I was in the car outside his place waiting for him to come down like I'd done 100 times before, 45 minutes late, no text, no call. And something in me just snapped. Not loud, not dramatic, quiet, like the moment before a storm actually breaks. I put the car in drive and I left. I didn't curse him out. I didn't blow up his phone. I just left. And in that silence, I heard the loudest truth I'd ever known. Every time I stayed after he showed me disrespect, I was training him to do it again. Sis, the moment you stop accepting mediocre behavior is the moment a man has to decide who he's going to be in your life. The right one will apologize, adjust, and never want to see that look on your face again. The wrong one will call you dramatic, tell you you're overreacting, maybe even ghost for a few days to punish you for having standards. Let him go shout his manipulation into someone else's voicemail. The trash really does take itself out when you stop supplying the bin. You are not here to be patient with disrespect. You are here to be loved so fiercely that disrespect doesn't even know your address. The standard you walk past is the standard you accept. And you, my love, were never meant to live anywhere below extraordinary. The second thing you must never do is hand over your peace just to keep a man in your life. Peace is not a luxury. It is your birthright. It is the most expensive thing you will ever own, and once it's gone, you will spend the rest of your days trying to get it back. I know what it feels like to live without it. I know what it's like to flinch every time your phone lights up because you're scared of what you might see, or worse, what you might not see. I know the tightness in your chest when he takes 3 hours to reply to a simple "did you make it home safe?" I know the way your stomach drops when you see him online, but your message is still undelivered. I know the nights you cry in the shower so no one hears. That is not love. That is slow emotional suicide, and I will not let you do it. There was a stretch of almost 2 years where I didn't sleep through the night once. My body learned to wake up every 2 hours to check if he had texted. My friends stopped inviting me out because I was always distracted, always glancing at my phone, always half present. I lost 15 pounds I didn't have to lose. My mother looked at me one day and said, "Baby, your light is gone." And I smiled like everything was fine, because that's what we do. We smile while we're dying inside. Love is not supposed to feel like constant free fall. Love is not refreshing his Instagram stories to see if he's with someone else. Love is not screenshots and voice notes and timelines and trying to catch him in a lie. That is trauma-wearing cologne. A man who loves you will guard your peace like it's his own. He will text when he says he will, not because you nagged him, but because he knows your mind is sacred space. He will choose clarity over games because he understands that confusion is cruelty. He will show up fully, consistently, intentionally, because he knows that anything less is beneath you. If being with him means you have to shrink your expectations, mute your intuition, lower your standards, silence your needs, then the price is too damn high. You do not negotiate with terrorists. And a man who weaponizes your peace is a terrorist in designer sneakers. I want you to try something for me right now. Close your eyes and imagine your life without him. Not forever, just for a moment. Feel the quiet. Feel the space where anxiety used to live. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel your breath get deeper. That feeling, that's what you're protecting when you choose peace over his presence. That feeling is home. The day I chose my peace was the day I got my life back. I blocked, I deleted, I cried, I danced, I prayed, I started sleeping again. And somewhere in the middle of all that reclaiming, I looked up and realized the sun was shining brighter, my laugh was louder, my dreams were bigger. I was never the problem. The problem was I kept inviting chaos into a temple that was built for calm. Your peace is holy ground, sis. No man gets to walk across it leaving muddy footprints and call it love. When you protect your peace, you protect your future. And the right man, the one God kept just for you, he's not going to fight you for it. He's going to stand at the door, take off his shoes, and ask how he can help you keep it. That's the love you wait for. That's the love you deserve. Never settle for anything that makes you choose between him and the woman you're becoming. The third thing you must never do is turn down the volume on that quiet voice inside you that whispers when something feels off. You know the one. The knot in your stomach when he says, "I'm just with the boys," but the background noise sounds like a club. The way your chest tightens when he gets defensive over a simple question. The tiny alarm that goes off when his story changes just enough to not add up. That voice is not insecurity. That voice is not you being paranoid. That voice is not you being too much. That voice is your ancestor, your intuition, your higher self, and every woman who came before you screaming across generations, "Protect yourself." I ignored her for years. I called her dramatic. I told her to calm down. I fed her wine and distractions. And maybe I'm overthinking until she got so quiet, I almost forgot she existed. And every single time I paid for it. Every time I convinced myself I was tripping, I was actually tripping straight into a situation that was going to cost me months, sometimes years, to heal from. There was one night I will never forget. I was in his car and he got a text. The way he snatched the phone, turned it face down, and laughed a little too hard, told me everything I needed to know. My voice whispered, "Ask to see it." I didn't. I smiled and changed the subject because I didn't want to ruin the vibe. 3 weeks later, I found out the vibe had been ruined long before I got in that car. That text was from a girl he swore was just a friend. She wasn't. And the only person who got ruined that night was me, because I chose comfort over truth. Here's what I learned the hard way. Red flags don't wave louder because you ignore them. They just multiply. One little lie becomes 10. One "I'll change" becomes a whole personality built on deception. One time he makes you feel crazy for questioning him becomes a lifetime of gaslighting if you let it. Your intuition is the most accurate GPS you will ever own. It doesn't need evidence to know when the road is dangerous. It feels it in the pavement. I want you to start treating that voice like the queen she is. When she speaks, you stop everything and listen. When she says leave, you leave. When she says block, you block. When she says you deserve better, you believe her the first time instead of the 50th. Because every time you ignore her, you're not just hurting yourself. You're teaching the next generation of women in your bloodline that their knowing doesn't matter. And we are done with that legacy. The day I started trusting her again was the day my life changed. She woke me up at 4 a.m. with a feeling so strong I couldn't go back to sleep. I opened his phone. Yes, I finally did. And there it all was. The truth I had been dodging for months. I didn't scream, I didn't fight. I just closed the phone, packed a small bag, and walked out while he was still sleeping. I cried in the elevator, but they were different tears. They were freedom tears. The kind that come when you finally choose yourself over a lie you were exhausted from pretending to believe. Your intuition is never wrong, baby. It might be early, but it's never wrong. Trusting it will save you more pain than any explanation he could ever give. The right man won't make that voice scream. He'll make her feel so safe she falls asleep in the passenger seat while he drives you both towards something real. The fourth thing you must never do is become a grown man's mother, therapist, life coach, ATM, and cheerleader all in one while he gives you the bare minimum in return. You are not a rehabilitation center for poorly raised men. You are not a construction site where broken boys come to be rebuilt. You are a whole woman with a whole life, and if he walks in needing you to raise him, send him back to whoever dropped the ball the first time. I have paid bills he should have paid. I have reminded him to call his own mother on her birthday. I have written cover letters for jobs he didn't want badly enough to apply for himself. I have cooked, cleaned, encouraged, motivated, and prayed over men who looked at everything I gave and still asked, "What else you got?" I was so busy being his everything that I forgot I was supposed to have a partner, not a project. There is a difference between supporting someone and carrying someone. Supporting is beautiful. Carrying is dangerous. When you carry a man, you stunt his growth and exhaust your spirit. He learns he doesn't have to stand up because you've already built the crutches. He learns he doesn't have to provide because you've already covered the rent. He learns he doesn't have to grow because you love the potential more than he ever will. I remember the moment I realized I had a 2-year-old son instead of a boyfriend. I was folding his laundry while he played PlayStation and complained that I didn't iron his shirt the way his mom used to. I stopped mid-fold, looked at the man on my couch, and asked myself, who raised you to think this was acceptable? And then the harder question, who raised me to think this was love? Sis, a man who is ready for you will show up already knowing how to open doors, pay bills, keep promises, and treat you like the priority you are. He will not need you to teach him basic human decency. He will not need you to remind him that relationships require effort from both sides. He will not need you to mother him into manhood because his mama already did that part, or life did, or he did it himself. Either way, it is not your job. The moment you stop raising men is the moment you make room for one who can walk beside you instead of behind you, sucking from your energy like a toddler with a juice box. You deserve a partner, not a parasite. You deserve someone who adds to your life, not someone who treats it like an all-you-can-eat buffet of emotional labor. When I finally put my foot down and said, I am not your mother, everything shifted. The boys left, the men stayed. And the man who stayed, he cooks, he plans, he protects, he provides, and he never once made me feel like I had to earn the right to be loved properly. That's what happens when you stop accepting applications from little boys in grown bodies. The real ones line up and they come correct from day one. The fifth thing you must never do is shrink your standards just because time is passing and you're scared of being alone. You do not lower the bar to make it easier for the wrong man to jump over it. You raise it so high that only the right one can reach. I used to think being single was a punishment. I used to think a warm body was better than an empty bed. I used to think half love was better than no love at all. I was wrong. Half love is a slow death. Half love is showing up to a 5-star restaurant and being served crumbs while they charge you full price. Half love is the reason so many of us wake up at 35 wondering how we got here. I have accepted he's just not good with words when what I needed was a man who could tell me he loved me without me having to decode smoke signals. I have accepted he's going through something when what I needed was consistency that didn't come with a trauma disclaimer. I have accepted at least he doesn't cheat when what I needed was a man whose loyalty never had to be questioned. Settling is not humility, settling is betrayal. Every time you say yes to less than you deserve, you are telling the universe, telling God, telling your younger self who used to dream of epic love that she was wrong to believe she was worthy of more. I want you to close your eyes right now and picture that little girl inside you, the one who believed in fairy tales before the world taught her to be realistic. The one who knew without a doubt that she was going to be loved fiercely, fully, and without conditions. What would she say if she saw you accepting late night you-up texts as romance? What would she say if she saw you celebrating anniversaries of situationships? She would cry. And then she would remind you that you are still her and she is still waiting for you to fight for the love she always knew you deserved. The day I decided I would rather be alone than poorly accompanied was the day everything changed. I stopped answering booty call energy. I stopped explaining my worth. I stopped dimming my light to make mediocre men comfortable. And in that space, I created real love walked in. Not perfect love, but whole love. The kind that doesn't make you beg, doesn't make you question, doesn't make you shrink. You are not asking for too much. You are asking the wrong man for the bare minimum. The right one will not see your standards as pressure. He will see them as instructions. He will not see your boundaries as walls. He will see them as the blueprint to your heart. Never forget, being alone is not the worst thing that can happen to you. The worst thing is waking up 10 years from now next to someone who never saw you, never chose you, never honored you, and realizing you spent your best years teaching someone how to waste them. You deserve the kind of love that makes your younger self proud, the kind that makes her look at you and say, yes, this is exactly what I prayed for. Hold out for that. Hold out for everything. Because you, my love, were never meant to live on leftovers. You were born for the whole damn banquet. There comes a moment when staying becomes more dangerous than leaving. And for me, that moment arrived at 4 in the morning on a random Tuesday. I had spent the night waiting again, waiting for an apology that never came, waiting for an explanation that kept changing, waiting for the man I thought I loved to finally act like he loved me back. The apartment was dark, except for the glow of his phone while he slept like nothing was wrong. I stood in the doorway of the bedroom looking at him and felt something inside me break. Not my heart this time, but the last thread of hope I had been clinging to. I didn't scream. I didn't shake him awake. I just walked to the closet, pulled out the overnight bag. I always kept half packed for emergencies, threw in 2 pairs of jeans, my favorite sneakers, my passport, and every piece of self-respect I had let him chip away at for 18 months. I left the key on the kitchen counter, took one last look at the life I had tried to force into fitting me, and walked out without a sound. The elevator ride down 32 floors felt like descending from a prison. I had decorated myself. When the doors opened to the street, the cold air hit my face, and I started shaking, not from fear, but from relief. My phone buzzed immediately. Where are you? I didn't answer. Then came the calls, the voice notes, the baby I can explain, the you're overreacting, the classic playlist every woman knows by heart. I turned the phone face down and kept walking. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have anywhere to be. I just knew that staying another minute in that apartment would cost me more of myself than I was willing to lose. I ended up at a 24-hour diner on the corner of Commissioner and Loveday, ordered coffee I didn't drink, and sat there watching the sun come up over Johannesburg. With every minute that passed, I felt lighter. The weight I had been carrying, his moods, his lies, his silence, his half effort started falling off me like old skin. By the time the city woke up, I wasn't the same woman who had walked out. I was the woman who finally understood that leaving isn't giving up. Leaving is choosing yourself when the alternative is disappearing. People will tell you that walking away means you failed. They'll say you didn't fight hard enough, you didn't love deep enough, you didn't try one more time. Let them talk. The truth is, the bravest thing I ever did wasn't staying through the chaos. It was having the courage to step into the unknown rather than stay in a known hell. That morning, I learned that peace feels a lot like an empty passenger seat and a playlist you finally get to choose. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say to a man who refuses to value you is nothing at all. Just the sound of your heels on the pavement getting farther away. That night, I left with nothing but my dignity, and it turned out to be the most expensive thing I ever owned. After I left, my phone became a battlefield of unsent paragraphs. I typed them at red lights, in the shower, at 3 a.m. when insomnia tried to drag me back into the spiral. I wrote novels of pain, essays of anger, poems of heartbreak, apologies for things that were never my fault. I wrote until my thumbs cramped and my eyes burned, and then I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I deleted every single one. I never sent the "how could you," the "do you even care," the "I miss you," the "please come back." I never gave him the satisfaction of knowing he still lived rent-free in my head. Those unsent messages were my therapy before therapy. They were the place I poured every question I was terrified to ask out loud. Was any of it real? When did you stop loving me? Why wasn't I enough? But every time I hovered over send, something stopped me. Because deep down I knew the answers wouldn't heal me, they would only reopen the wound. The truth is, people who hurt you on purpose rarely give you the closure you deserve. They give you more confusion, more excuses, more reasons to stay stuck. Deleting those messages was an act of war against my own desperation. Every backspace was me choosing my peace over his validation. Every time I cleared a draft, I took back a piece of power he had stolen. I stopped begging for explanations from someone who never respected me enough to tell the truth in the first place. Silence became my loudest weapon. There is power in what you don't say. There is power in letting someone sit in the discomfort of their own actions without giving them the relief of your reaction. I used to think no response meant I lost. Now I know no response meant I won. I won my dignity, I won my energy, I won the right to heal without an audience of one who never deserved front row seats to my pain. If you're holding onto a message right now, if your finger is hovering over send, if you're telling yourself one last time, maybe this time he'll understand, hear me, he understood the first time. He just didn't care. And you deserve to be with someone who cares without needing a 2,000-word essay to get the point. Delete the draft, baby. Block the number, cry if you need to, but do not hand your healing back to the person who broke you in the first place. The messages you never send are the love letters you finally start writing to yourself. And trust me, you are the only audience that ever mattered. If I could go back and slip a letter under the pillow of the 5-year-old version of me, the one who thought love meant proving how much pain she could endure, this is what it would say. Hey, beautiful. Right now you're crying in the parking lot of some club because he left with someone else, and you're blaming yourself for not being enough. Stop. You are already everything. The problem is never you. It's that you keep choosing men who are too small to handle how big you are. You're about to spend years trying to shrink, trying to be less loud, less ambitious, less needy, less you, just so someone will stay. Don't. The right man will never ask you to fold yourself into a box to fit his comfort zone. He will build a whole world big enough for both of you to grow. You're going to meet men who make you feel like love is a negotiation. It's not. Love is not you giving 90 so he can give 10 and call it fair. Love is not you apologizing for having standards. Love is not you staying up all night wondering if you're too much or not enough. You are exactly enough for the person who deserves you. You're going to waste time on situationships that feel like relationships until you ask for commitment and suddenly they aren't ready. Let them not be ready somewhere else. Your heart is not a waiting room. You're going to think being chosen means being picked last after every other option didn't work out. Baby girl, being chosen means being the first and only call, not the backup plan. One day you'll look back and laugh at how hard you fought for people who wouldn't cross the street for you. You'll cringe at the texts you sent, the chances you gave, the pieces of yourself you handed over like they were free samples, and you'll be grateful for every tear because they watered the woman you're becoming. You're going to learn that walking away isn't losing, it's leveling up. You're going to learn that peace feels better than fake love ever did. You're going to learn that the love you're crying over right now is preparing you for a love that will never make you cry like this again. So dry your face, delete his number, put on that red lipstick, and go be the main character of your own life. The best part of your story hasn't even started yet, and trust me, it's worth every plot twist it took to get here. You are magic. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Love, the woman you become when you finally choose yourself. That letter is for 5-year-old me, but it's also for you right now, wherever you are in your journey. Read it as many times as you need to until you believe every word. Because the woman you're becoming is waiting on the other side of every boundary you set, every tear you stop shedding for the wrong person, every time you choose yourself when it's hard. She's proud of you already. Keep going. The love you've been settling for was never the love you were born for. And here we are, at the end of this long midnight conversation between my heart and yours. I've told you about the nights I cried on closet floors, the mornings I walked away, the messages I never sent, the little girl inside me who still believes in fairy tales. Now, I want to tell you about the woman I am today, the one who wakes up without checking her phone first, who laughs from her belly again, who plans trips and dreams bigger than any man ever could. I want you to meet her because she used to be you, and one day soon she will be you again. The greatest plot twist of my entire life was discovering that the love I spent years begging for from the wrong people was waiting for me the moment I stopped auditioning for it. When I finally closed the door on half love, inconsistent love, chaotic love, something shifted in the atmosphere, I stopped explaining my worth. I stopped performing loyalty for people who never showed up. I stopped shrinking my expectations to fit someone else's capacity. And in that quiet, in that refusal to settle, the right love found me. Not because I chased it, not because I lowered the bar, not because I became easier. It found me because I finally became the standard. The man who loves me now doesn't speak in maybe later or we'll see. He speaks in plans, in presence, in protection. He doesn't make me wonder where I stand. He makes me feel like the ground beneath me was built just for my feet. He doesn't give me peace in pieces. He guards it like it's the most precious thing he's ever been trusted with. And the wildest part? He says, I taught him how to love this way, not by nagging, not by ultimatums, but by showing him what happens when a woman knows her worth and refuses to accept anything less. I simply stopped entertaining nonsense, and the universe sent me someone whose default setting is respect. But here's a secret nobody tells you. You don't have to wait for him to experience this kind of love. You can start giving it to yourself right now, today, in this moment. Love yourself with the same intensity you've been pouring into men who didn't know what to do with it. Spoil yourself the way you wished he would. Speak to yourself the way you begged him to. Choose yourself the way you kept choosing him even when he didn't choose you back. The relationship you have with you sets the tone for every relationship that follows. When you become your own safe place, your own biggest cheerleader, your own soft place to land, you become magnetic to the exact energy you've been craving from someone else. I need you to understand something with every cell in your body. You are not difficult to love. You are difficult to lie to. You are difficult to manipulate. You are difficult to play games with. And that is your superpower. The love you deserve doesn't require you to dim your light, silence your voice, or shrink your dreams. It doesn't require late-night tears or constant proof that you're worthy. It simply requires you to be exactly who you are, unapologetically, and it meets you there with open arms and zero conditions. So here is my final whisper to you, the one I want you to carry into every room, every date, every mirror you ever look into. The love you've been crying over was never the love you were created for. You were made for the kind of love that feels like Sunday morning sunlight, like laughter that starts in your toes, like coming home to a heart that never makes you knock. You were made for the love that says, I see all of you and I'm still here, without making you earn it. You were made for the love that chooses you every single day, not because it has to, but because it cannot imagine a world where it wouldn't. You don't have to perform for that love. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to keep choosing yourself until the world catches up to the queen you've always been. And when that love finally arrives, and it will, you'll look back on every tear, every sleepless night, every time you thought you weren't enough, and you'll smile. Because every single one of those moments was leading you here to a love that doesn't need a script, a love that doesn't need a fight, a love that simply says, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. Thank you for sitting with me through this whole conversation. If anything I said tonight touched even one corner of your heart, do me a favor. Hit subscribe, drop a comment, and tell me which part made you feel seen. Like the video, share it with every sister who needs to hear she's worth more than she's been accepting. Let's keep this circle growing, because the world needs more women who know their worth and refuse to negotiate it. I love you. I'm proud of you, and I'll be right here waiting to celebrate the next time you need, reminding that you, yes you, deserve the kind of love that feels like freedom.